This is the Cover 3 Tailgate. And welcome back to the Cover 3 podcast here on CBS Sports. That's Tom Fornelli. That's Bud Elliott. That's Danny Kanell. I'm Chip Patterson coming to you live at youtube.com/cover3 and everywhere you get your podcasts on demand. Thanks for hanging out. Smash that subscribe, smash that like, and come and join us in the chat, a.k.a. the Cover 3 Tailgate, where it looks like Evan went through and started putting together a Cover 3 dictionary. You can scroll up. He jumped in the tailgate, started throwing out, and he brought back Barton the Bouncer, which is some real day one stuff. Barton the Bouncer at the Slayer concert. Maybe once we do get into your Februarys, your March, your Aprils, we'll get a visit from our own Barton Simmons. We'll dive back into the big old bag of mail where Barton the Bouncer was launched. But we got too much to get through today because we got more reaction to the college football playoff. We've got bowl games, just sort of a general who are we looking at, what matchups really jump out to us, maybe a little bit more from the coaching carousel. And yes, as always, upon further review and poll assassin, our normal Monday content. But in the spirit of just trying to dive right into the conversation, it is not necessarily about the playoff matchups. It is not necessarily about the bowl game matchups. No, the biggest topic in college football right now is about the teams, but really specifically the team that has opted not to participate in the postseason. That would be the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Now, Notre Dame is not alone in this. We've already, Kansas State and Iowa State, as we talked a little bit on Sunday's show, they are opting out of a bowl game, and the Big 12 is fining each of those schools $500,000 for their lack of participation. Notre Dame does not have a conference. Notre Dame removing itself from selection for the bowl games. There's been a lot to unpack here. Athletic Director Pete Bavacqua has already offered some comments. He also has a press conference on Tuesday. I mean, he is not shying away from this conversation. He is absolutely going to keep it going. There are layers to this. DK, I'll let you get first word. I just was on CBS Sports HQ. I couldn't help but start by saying I'm disappointed as a fan. I mean, just the where we are, how we got here, and what this means moving forward. None of it is fun or good. And those are things that we generally like about college football. But I think there's also some pieces of this that I get. What's really jumping out to you?
I am reading a quote with Pete Bavacqua 29 minutes ago on Dan Patrick, where he said there's permanent damage that has been done to the relationship with the ACC. He has not been shy about that. Brady Quinn was, I saw him in Indianapolis, been following him as well. I do think this is a sentiment. And I remember when I saw Jim Phillips out there campaigning for Miami, I was genuinely wondering, I wonder how Notre Dame feels about this. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I'm like, screw you guys. You guys have the best of both worlds by being in our conference, and getting the best of utilizing our resources and our teams to schedule and beat up against. Easy wins for you. And then go ahead and waltz into the playoff and take all the money to yourself. So I understood that aspect. But Notre Dame being left out, I think there's going to be a lot of consequences from the decisions that were made yesterday and the way the format is with 2 group of 5. But I think Notre Dame being on the outside maybe has the most significant, immediate action that's taken. We already saw them opt out of the bowl, as you mentioned, that was a big deal. But I do wonder what this means moving forward and what sort of it could spark. And is there a break-off even more with the ACC?
I mean, look, if you're the ACC, Notre Dame's never going to join you, right? So I think the ACC is totally right to campaign for Miami. And I think Pete Bavacqua is right to say what he said because obviously they're scheduling partners. So I think he's right to be picked. I think both sides are right to do what they did. I fully think Notre Dame's right to opt out of the bowl game. If their players' heads are not going to be in it, you don't want them out there. You're not going to have good practices. You're going to have 15 shitty practices, right? And ultimately, you're going to get embarrassed by a BYU team that's going to play hard. We saw last year, BYU takes bowl games seriously. It's just kind of their culture. Colorado did not take the bowl game seriously, and they dump trucked the Buffaloes there in San Antonio. So, if you're Notre Dame, you don't want to come out, not want to be there, not have 15 bad practices, come out and then get smacked by BYU, which if you didn't try hard, you don't care. Totally. But I think if we get meaningful change out of this, where we get these G5 teams out the paint and we don't have half of our first round matchups be awful. I'm sorry. I don't want this crap. I don't, man. We would never do big game breakdown in our life. It would never even we would never even think about doing an Oregon JMU big game breakdown if it was some random week 4. But now we got to do one and pretend like this is a good game for a month. I don't like doing this.
God, I feel so terrible for Bud. He's got to do a big game breakdown.
Nobody wants to watch this crap. At least last year,
this crap, this politically correct crap. It's so stupid that we have to put JMU in. I'm the same guy that spent the last 4 years arguing that we should expand the playoffs so we can give these teams a chance. But damn it, now that they're in there, damn it, why do I have to talk about it? This podcast, you know what's great about this podcast,
Notre Dame
guys?
could win the playoffs.
We talk about all these schools. We talk about everybody. It's just I don't want to have to.
That is true.
Oh, man.
Damn it.
I think it's crap.
I
think it's crap that a team that actually won its conference got into the playoff instead of a team that didn't. It's crap, damn it. Oh, man, it's so not fair to me.
I will say JMU's probably going to be a record setter, though. Being 123rd in strength of schedule, that might be a record that will never be beaten. It'd be very hard to be worse than that in strength of schedule and make the playoffs. So, congrats on your record.
Maybe if they play in the ACC, they can match that record.
Right.
Because Danny's talking about Notre Dame gets to take advantage of beating up on the ACC. Florida State and Clemson couldn't beat up on that same league. Everybody's mad at Notre Dame for playing Syracuse and Boston College. It's not their fault. The ACC sucks.
It is their
ACC
fault. They
was a good league.
Arkansas, Stanford, and Navy.
I don't think
Purdue.
By the way, I don't think
Notre Dame shouldn't play their rivals. Bud Elliott.
How is Navy a rival? They're 46-4.
They've been playing each other for 75 years.
And that's
never how you're a rival.
It's never competitive. Navy sucks compared to Notre Dame. When Notre Dame
was beating the shit out of them for 10 years. Game.
It's like polar bears and seals. Sorry, I was watching nature documentary with the kids. That's not a rivalry. I mean, it's technically a rivalry, but they get absolutely destroyed. It's one-way action, dude.
The seals get away sometimes.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so then they win. Injured. They're not. You don't have to eat the bear to beat it.
The impact for me is not playoff. I don't think we're going to change the playoff because of Notre Dame. I think the bowl season is what we're looking at. And that's where we're all trying to look at who did this. You expanded the playoff. The bowl games don't matter anymore.
By the way, it isn't just Notre Dame. Notre Dame's been a big one, but Iowa State opted out, right? I mean, there's been multiple
coaches left. I don't agree with it. I think it is soft, but I understand it because you've got a coaching staff that is in the process of looking for new jobs. You've got a roster full of players who are in the process of figuring out, am I going to have a gig here or do I have to find a new home? So making them play in a bowl game, I understand why they're not interested, and they're paying $500,000. They're suffering a consequence for it. Notre Dame's taking its ball and going home. They're just crying, and they're in their feelings and feeling bad about it, and they're doing what they have to do to kind of justify their decision. They just got their feelings hurt, and now they went home.
They also knew what they were doing scheduling wise. Irish, you knew what you were doing scheduling wise, right? Stanford, which you scheduled, that's not one of the ACC rotation this year, right? Arkansas, which is
SEC team,
0-8 or 1-7, more than half the time in the SEC, right? A team that they never compete in the SEC, they don't try, right? A G5 team.
But you're just running through talking points. What does Arkansas have? What does Arkansas caring about baseball have to do with Notre Dame?
I'm saying if you're Notre Dame, you knew what you got with this schedule. You got what you got.
Should they schedule NFL teams? Will that be good enough for you?
No, what I'm saying is they purposely scheduled light after the top 2. Or top 3, I'm sorry.
So they schedule SEC teams, they schedule Big Ten teams, they schedule ACC teams. Who the hell should they be scheduling?
I'm saying you cherry picked.
Should they play Alabama 12 times? Should they play Georgia 12 times? Who is Georgia? Georgia doesn't play Arkansas. Ohio State doesn't play Purdue. Florida State doesn't play Syracuse. What are you doing? What are you even saying?
Look,
you're so lost in your opinion that you're backtracking into trying to make it make sense, but it doesn't.
Okay, I think they get what they got, on purpose, honestly.
They got what they got because they lost 2 games. Yeah. That's it. Period. Point blank.
Yeah.
We don't need to
And
pretend
they
that
lost the only two
we
good
do
teams
this.
they played.
We do this crap.
No,
If something
USC
happens,
is a
then
good
we
team.
decide we have
They
to
were 1 and
change
2
it.
against the 3 decent teams they played. Danny, we got to give them credit for USC. Like that is a good win.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I would be happy if Notre Dame, and by the way, on the campaign for Pete Bavacqua includes farce and waste of time as the sticky quotes for the weekly rankings release.
Yep.
I would take that. Notre Dame's got me on the bus. Hey, yeah. Let's keep firing it up. Let's keep talking about how the weekly rankings release, and even more than that, specifically asking the committee to put explanations behind their rankings. Waste of time.
But the PR firm that works with the college football selection committee did a phenomenal job of coaching up Hunter Yurchek so that when Reese Davis asked him on College Game Day very pointed questions, he just regurgitated the same 3 answers back to back to back and basically said 0. And good for ESPN and all the guys in the set for calling him out, but that was a rough look.
Was this yesterday? I did not, because
that was on College Game Day, the day before the conference
Saturday.
championship started. Yeah.
Yeah. Because
It was
again,
weird.
I'm going to use my indoor voice for the rest of the show. I'm sorry for yelling.
no, it's all right. You can't help it. That's genetics.
See, he's smart with this. My voice is shot to Tom's. I'm gonna drown him out.
You can't out yell me.
Yeah.
No, look, it was weird to see Herb Street call out like, why are we doing these weekly rankings? I'm like, bro, it's because the network you work for paid an arm and a leg for the playoff and has to make money around the playoff rights, dude.
And
like,
it's part of the contract that they do these shows.
But if the selection committee had given us that bracket and not given us anything leading up to it, we would have been like, oh, okay.
Yep.
The committee valued head to head. And
it's the false sense of movement.
It.
Also, like, they screwed it up by putting Notre Dame 8 spots different from Miami in the initial rating.
And they both won out. And they both looked good.
They gave the Irish pre-credit for the likelihood that they would win out, and then started to give them additional credit for when they actually did the thing that they were basically given pre-credit for. Right.
So, but here's
where getting double credit for beating these crap teams down the stretch, and they beat the hell out of them. And Notre Dame's clearly a really good team, right? And it does suck that I think for the first time in the 12-team era, we have a team left out that could actually win the whole thing.
Agreed.
You know what I'm saying? Like I do truly think if Notre Dame was in, they could win the whole thing. Now, I don't think they deserve to be in over Bama or Miami, honestly.
Oh, I think they deserve.
I do. I think they deserve to be in over Bama easily.
So that if you take the power ratings that Notre Dame wants to cite, Bama has 7 wins over a team with a rating of 10 or higher. Notre Dame has 1. So if you want to go with this power rating stuff, you can agree that Bama is not power rated as high as Notre Dame, but Bama's resume is way better.
I think all of the campaigning for strength of schedule, the new metric, I think that's the reason Alabama's in over Notre Dame. Their schedule was significantly harder because they had 2. And if I'm Texas, I'm irritated as a 3-loss team because the reasoning for Texas was, well, you had a bad loss against Florida and you got blown out against Georgia. Like those were disqualifying. Alabama has a bad loss against Florida State, got blown out by Georgia, and it didn't matter at all. And again, some of the things you referenced with Texas, like overtime against Kentucky, like they were to the wire with Auburn, didn't even come up. Like I do think Alabama should have been left out. The thing I don't understand is how it looked like it was, because I feel like if you're the person explaining it away, the easy explanation would have been Miami, like all the things needed to happen. BYU, ugly loss, out. Like you're not treating them differently. It was then you're giving them the same treatment that you're giving to Alabama. Look, we needed to see how you're playing now. We know you've been limping down the stretch. Boy, you showed us something with a great performance against Georgia. They didn't do that. You could have said you are playing some of the worst football in the final month of the season, so you guys are done. And you could have referenced the losses to Florida State. They could have easily done that, kept Bama out. Then you still have 4 SEC teams in. Like, I don't think Greg's saying get mad, but you can't get that mad. I think that was the easiest explanation, the easiest path. And for whatever reason, they tried to go this direction.
Did you see? Well, okay. Do we think that they're gonna kill this weekly ranking stuff?
I don't know.
No, they can't. It's in the contract.
Do you think Pete Bavacqua actually believed that these rankings week to week were real?
I think
we've been saying for 2 years that they don't mean a damn thing.
Well, no. I think what's true is that the players in that meeting room saw that they were 10, saw that they didn't lose, and now all of a sudden they're out. I think that is true, that all the players on that Notre Dame roster are as much, if not more, than 2023 Florida State, sitting there just like, what is this?
I mean, if you're a coach out there, you need to be telling your team, guys, this is Love Island. This is Dancing with the Stars. This is just for entertainment. These rankings week to week are complete bullshit. They don't matter. Keep playing hard. We are not in, right? Which Notre Dame, to their credit, did keep playing hard, but like this is fantasy land up here. It's just for TV. It's all make believe until the final one, and then they're going to do whatever they want to do. Like, don't rely on this. But it's hard for them to see. Like they put out a bracket. Like they represent that they're like actual
in the field. Yeah,
right. It's kind of ridiculous. I will say though, the most important thing to come out of Bachman's comments was what Dellinger dropped, where if they are in the top 12 starting next year, they are automatically in. That's a hell of a concession.
That's a whole other kettle of fish right there.
And if you look at their schedule next year, unless they get hit by an asteroid, they're going 11-1 or 12-0. I mean, dude, like they have purposely put like absolute garbage in that schedule next year.
With CJ Carr back.
Have you seen this schedule?
Recruiting well, and okay.
Pull up the Notre Dame 2026 schedule. I looked at it this morning to like try and calculate the likelihood that they would be top 12.
Well, we know it because Florida State's not on it. News broken here by Bud Elliott on the Cover 3 podcast.
During the Locks pod. All right, so Wisconsin, Rice, Michigan State, Purdue, North Carolina, Navy, Miami, okay, Boston College, SMU, which is in South Bend, Syracuse, Stanford, USC. So they are 3-score favorites 10 times at least.
10 Power 4 opponents.
They do a great job of cherry picking the bottom of the Big Ten and the SEC. Man, that is brilliant.
They don't pick their ACC rotation. The ACC does that.
Well, they always put Stanford on there, and Stanford's historically crap.
A rival.
It's a rival. Right. This is genius by Notre Dame. We're rivals. Remember the South Park episode about student athletes?
But they've been playing forever, bud.
Rivals, you say.
Did they plan this? Did they plan this 75 years ago?
USC's a rival too. USC's on the schedule for the same reason Stanford is. They're rivals. They've been playing forever.
Right. Got to play them.
With the USC is a good opponent. We don't want that one to go away. That's a good one.
Right.
With the committee, with the conversation about doing away with it until Sunday and just not having the Tuesday show, does that solve anything? Because I think one of the advantages and what was supposed to be a benefit of the Tuesday show was you get some transparency. Let's see what they're thinking. Let's hear what they're saying, and then we can evaluate it on the way down the road. I think more than ever, like if you differed significantly from the AP top 25, then I think you'd get, if you're ESPN, like you would be worried about, oh, look how much SEC favoritism they did, or, because I don't know. It would be curious to see how much things would change based on the committee versus the AP top 25. Because I do think they start mirroring each other. Like I think the committee pays attention to the ratings, the rankings. Like that's one of the reasons you said why they had them so high, because Notre Dame was ranked at 0-2. And so like the AP showed a tremendous amount of respect for them. So I think it almost overflowed into the committee room. Like I think they mirror each other. So if that's the case, you keep your TV show and you keep doing your thing. You just do a better job of explaining, which is an impossible job.
What if they did their own mock TV show every Tuesday with their experts? It would be like, I don't think it would do quite as good numbers because it's not official, but like Lenardi does bracketology for them or whatever, or, like Jerry Palm does bracketology for us on HQ, right? Like people still pay attention to that. That still gets aggregated. That still gets put out there onto social media. Like, I don't think you would build quite the expectation in like to Bavacqua's point about disappointing the roster. It would still do some numbers, I guess.
I've done some thinking and I've come around. I actually agree with Bud now.
On
Notre Dame, it's I'm sick and tired of Notre Dame using their relationship with the ACC to their advantage. What they should do instead is sue the ACC and then force the ACC to give them more money than the rest of the teams in the league.
Right.
Because,
it's the winning playbook.
Because if Florida State was 10-2 right now, Bud would sit here be arguing about how they're taking advantage of the ACC by playing their rivals.
Exactly.
Talking with my indoor voice.
Tom, you wrote for CBSSports.com.
I do occasionally, yeah.
The bowl season is sort of brings that, and again, you mentioned the coaching transition, the coaching changeover, but it's tough. That was when beware college football expansion. It's gonna ruin the bowl season, and people said it, and some of that was brushed aside. But if everything's all about making the playoff, then these bowl games are in trouble.
Bowls have been dying since the playoff was created. This is just the latest symptom. That's what I wrote. It's not like, oh no, woe is me, bowls are going away, but it's just, that's the simple fact of the matter. And they're going to expand the playoff again, which is going to take more teams away from bowl games. And we are seeing a precedent now where it's no different than with players. When the first player opted out, it told other players it was okay to opt out. Now the teams are opting out. It's telling other teams to opt out. And I don't think it's going to be a situation where every year we're going to have like 10, 15 teams opting out of games. But I do think you are going to see teams with coaching changes start opting out a lot more often. I don't think you'll see more crybaby opt-outs like Notre Dame's doing. But
the thing that jumped out to me was the 5 and 7 teams saying no. That don't.
Right. Yeah, but that makes plenty of those teams have already gone home. They thought their seasons were over. You can't call them all back to campus and be like, all right, we're going to practice instead. You've sent them home. Your off season began. It makes no sense for those programs.
The bowls died back with the player empowerment movement, how the players are getting screwed. They need to get paid. And everybody was like, good. I mean, there were people that suggested Leonard Fournette sit out the entire season.
Mm-hmm.
So then when he and Christian McCaffrey, I think it was 2016, when they sat out the bowls and everybody's like, yeah, I get it. That kind of opened up the Pandora's box where everyone's like, wait, the only thing I would push back now is like, that was in an era where the players were exploited. They weren't getting anything. I'd be a little bit irritated if I was a booster and had paid, big money to bring in, and I don't want to pick on Notre Dame. Let's say it's Iowa State. Let's say you paid to help, fund some of their roster, and you had an opportunity to see another game and you wanted to support them. I'd be like, you know what? I paid for these guys to finish the season, not just to go through the regular season. So there's some things that have changed a little bit, but ultimately I think the bowl system is in big trouble.
Some of these guys, Danny, some of these guys have clauses in their contract where they lose money if they opt out.
Right. Of a bowl game or any game.
So some of these contracts have balloon payments that they forfeit if they sit.
Interesting.
So also we have
nothing but first half bets in bowl games, boys. We're worried about these halftime opt-outs.
I agree with Tom somewhat. I think Tom's column was good, and I agree with it mostly. But also, we have had playoff expansion. We've also had bowl expansion. Right?
Oh yeah, there's too many bowl. Yeah.
In 2005, we only had 29 bowl games, including all the BCS bowls. Okay, so now you are taking your top 12 team. Well, really, like your top 11 team, or top 10 teams, plus a couple that are still in the top 25-ish, right? And you're putting them into non-bowl games, just first round games. So you're lopping off like the best 10 to 12 teams in the sport. And adding to that, we have a lot more bowls now additionally. So I think some of this is like we are asking some of these teams to play in bowls that we would never have asked to play in bowls prior. So I am like curious to see if this maybe doesn't kill the bowls. Maybe we just reach some kind of equilibrium of bowl reduction. A lot of this is ESPN driven because ESPN needs content. Like ESPN owns a lot of these bowls, and they need something to show when people and their families are home from work during a holiday season. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm glad that we can talk about this here because I haven't been able to distill this in a clear way in like a short little hit or a conversation. But there's a split between the bowl as a ESPN owned and operated entertainment product and the bowl organizers, which are still in the community. Like if you you've got friends at Citrus Sports,
a bunch of them,
and they are putting in work that is like there's like tangible stuff that is happening around Orlando that involves these teams, that involves this game. There's a charity run, there's always just a lot of stuff that's packed around it. And I understand when people who work for these bowl games point to that, like, see, this does have value. And I agree with that. But it is also a television product, which the way it is presented is just to fill time during the holiday season and now promote the college football playoff. Every daggum halftime show of every single bowl game is going to involve some promotion for whatever the closest, most upcoming college football playoff. It is daggum a marketing expense where that they put on the ESPN events tab of your like spreadsheet. So if Notre Dame, and again, like I don't want to get into unpacking Notre Dame's actual decision-making here, but if Notre Dame were to say, hey, we feel like we got screwed by your thing, the playoff, I don't want to just go and dance for you to make money off this during the holiday season. Forget it. We're out. Like, I get that because the bowls as they currently exist in 2025 are nothing but a promotional piece for the college football playoff. Now that because it used to be, you talk about 20 years ago, the bowls weren't all owned by the same entertainment sports operation. So I understand why Notre Dame might feel vengeful about that part too.
So we're running the numbers here. 2005, 29 bowl games, including all the BCS games. Now, if you put those BCS games in, 40. So we've expanded it like a lot.
Yeah.
And run the numbers.
Yeah.
Do you know how you make more money? Just make more of it.
Right.
I do think, I think there are a lot of threats to the bowl system in general. I don't think they'll all go away, but like you mentioned, these are events to advertise the playoff. They're also events to fill time on television blocks. We've seen in college basketball this year a whole lot more big games scheduled in December. I think that continues, and that gives maybe some networks thought process like we don't really need Eastern Michigan playing, Utah State. We could put a basketball game here. It'll do the same numbers. And I also think that the coming Super League will probably really kill the bowl system for good because they're going to have a playoff system and all that kind of stuff. And then I also wonder if, like you mentioned, ESPN owns all these games.
A lot of them. Most.
Like 99% of them they own.
Hey, listen, our beautiful Sun Bowl.
That's right.
Yeah. But like when ESPN goes to its app full time, how important do these games remain to them? Because it's no longer about filling blocks as much as it's just having content on its app.
Part of it, I think, depends on how integrated do they get with their DraftKings partnership, and do they have in-app betting on the ESPN app through DraftKings? If so, then these bowls are really important because people have free time. Because people have free time on their hands during the season and they want to get the in-game betting.
Lay it on the couch on December the 27th, just doing this number right here.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's all right. In anything else on this specific part, we can hit a break, do a little palate cleanser, and then dive a little bit more into either the playoff itself, but also some of the other bowl games and more the business of the show. Anything else on the Notre Dame opt-out side of this?
I thought Brady Quinn made an excellent point that you really don't need to be comparing Notre Dame to Bama and Miami. If you compare them to Ole Miss, it's actually a really interesting one.
It's just 11-1.
11-1
is
four group of five teams. Four group of five.
I know, but
that's a good point.
And a super easy schedule in the league. Yeah,
that's tough.
You could make the same case with Texas A&M, but the problem is you lost them.
Yeah,
because Texas A&M's resume isn't exactly stellar.
Brady also had it down to the SEC refs who were officiating the Notre Dame Texas A&M game.
I saw that.
Love you, Brady. College football playoff expansion. I saw this. I apologize. I can't give credit for the joke. College football playoff expansion made all these 2- and 3-loss teams feel like 2003 USC. And guess what? You ain't 2003 USC.
Yeah.
So, all right. Coming up on the other side, more of our thoughts on the college football playoff bracket. Upon further review, Pole Assassin and more.
Next.
Back here on the Cover 3 podcast. Have y'all had a chance to take a look at the bowl schedule?
I did.
You did? What are some of the games that stick out to you?
We have a bowl game this Friday.
I did.
Yeah. What are they doing
I don't
there?
like it, but I did.
That is disrespecting the troops.
I agree.
By the way, it's pretty nice helmet back there, don't you think?
Boise State playing Washington this Saturday too. In prime time after Army Navy.
I mean, Texas. Yeah.
Wait, when's the Heisman? Right before that?
The Heisman's usually on Saturday evening, so it'll probably be It'll probably be
like a pregame show.
Yeah,
7:00. Great lead in.
So they'll be there holding the trophy, and then you're going to go right to Las Vegas and like Dave was choosing.
I think there are a couple really, really good ones that I'm excited to see.
They're going to California. Bob was choosing.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's LA, but my bad.
Yeah. Boy, hey, boy.
Sorry, Bob.
Sorry, Bob.
And Dave Pash.
Yeah, see, I got my confused.
Danny and I will be on CBS Sports Network later today, starting at 2 p.m., picking every daggone.
I thought you were going to say Saturday night. Jeez.
So yeah, I got a quick little glance. What are some of the ones that stand out to you? Bud, you do have a couple of bangers in Orlando. You know, you get Michigan and Texas in the Citrus Bowl, and you get Georgia Tech and BYU. It ain't the Notre Dame BYU game that Pop-Tarts wanted, but for the four of us, you mentioned BYU takes bowls seriously. I don't think Brent Key's going to have his boys ready to go and lay down. I think Georgia Tech BYU is a fun one.
So the five that I wrote that I thought are really good, and I don't think there's a high chance we get quarterback opt-outs, okay, which does impact this quite a bit. Tennessee, Illinois, I think it's going to be a good game. Right?
Coaching advantage for Illinois.
I think both those staffs are pretty good, but yeah. All right. Iowa, Vandy, I like a lot. Like Pavia is not going to opt out, right? He's going to play, I would think.
I wouldn't expect him to.
Michigan, Texas. You got two, quarterbacks who aren't going anywhere and can't go pro, so they're not going to opt out. BYU, Georgia Tech. Like, I don't think Haynes King's a pro. He's probably going to want to go out on top, right, and like play with his guys one last time. And then I think UVA, Missouri is not bad either.
How could you leave off a battle of preseason national champion caliber
Clemson,
teams?
Penn State. It's very funny. Very funny.
Those literally were my two teams to square off in the national championship game.
And you got it right.
So
I
if,
did.
If Jennings plays, if Jennings plays for SMU, I think Arizona SMU is also really nice.
Penn State, Clemson. Danny had them playing in Miami Gardens on January 19th. Instead, it's Yankee Stadium on December 27th.
Stadium Danny likes even better.
That's right.
Oh, there we go. Danny, what games have jumped off the page to you?
I think he nailed. That's the ones I was coming up with. I mean, I was going through to make our picks. A lot of these you're trying to figure out who does it mean more for, like who's you think are going to be the potential opt-outs. And those, I did have that Penn State Clemson one as one that I do think those cultures, I think they should give their best effort. I would think you'll see players playing. Penn State probably might have a couple guys out, but I think for the most part, you'll get pretty full participation.
If Clemson wins, it fulfills my midseason prediction that Clemson's going to finish 7-5, win the bowl game, and act like it's a national championship. Go into next season, everything's fine, not change a single thing. Like there's going to be no reckoning. It'll be like that Gator Bowl season all over again, where they beat Kentucky at the end of the year, and it like signified some kind of magical turnaround. So we'll see what they do. We'll see what Penn State brings, but I agree with you. I like that one. I think Duke, Arizona State. Obviously, we're not going to have Sam Leavitt. We will have Darian Mintz against Jeff Sims. That's a quarterback matchup. That's the Sun Bowl game on New Year's Eve in the afternoon, December 31st, 2 p.m. That game on CBS. Any other games jump off the page to you?
If Sorsby plays for Cincy, I think Navy Cincy is a pretty good one.
Just happy Tennessee fans finally get to watch Luke Altmaier play quarterback this year.
Oh, because they said they were going to go grab him.
Well, they tried to.
Yeah.
Did they try to after Nico left, I guess?
Yeah.
Do you know what might be really bad?
What?
Nebraska's D-line against Utah's run game.
That could
but
ugly.
you know who's going to save Nebraska?
Emmett Johnson.
Yeah. He's going to put on a Heisman-worthy performance and run all over the Utes.
This is not going to shock you, but Kyle Whittingham has been very, very good in bowl games.
Is this Kyle Whittingham's last game at Utah?
Maybe. And if so, he's going to try to win by 40.
Mm-hmm.
Like there ain't a lot of big spreads on the board, but Danny, I'll give you a spoiler. That was one where I felt comfortable. Yeah, we're gonna say lay them there, given Nebraska's turnover and what Utah tends to do. I love. Remember when the Hawaii Bowl for some reason was not on Christmas Eve? Oh, it's because it was a Sunday. We got a Christmas Eve Sunday. That was what it was. Hawaii Bowl back on Christmas Eve, and by getting Cal there, what do you have? Jaron Kiave Sagapolatelli playing in Hawaii. So I think that'll be fun. JKS is already committed to Tosh Lupoi and the Bears moving forward. So to have him playing in that nice Hawaii Bowl Christmas Eve, I think that's another fun one. I know some people like to throw it on no matter who's playing in it. You got good reason to think that Cal Hawaii could be an entertaining game to sit down and watch on the 24th.
Is Bailey playing for NC State?
Is Bailey playing for NC State against Memphis?
Yeah.
I imagine that Pack of Wolves might be those might be conversations that are ongoing.
Okay. If so, like that could be fun.
Dave Doran is on a 5-game losing streak in bowl games right now.
Hot seat?
No. Boo Corrigan's already said they're all in for year 14. And all those retirement rumors that were going around mid-season, they pissed Dave off, honestly. And now it only made him more likely. Like, if he was even thinking about it, the fact that everyone started talking about it, my read on this, just my read is that it only gave him more of an edge and more of a spark to keep going.
One other thing that'll impact this is when the injunction on the 5-for-5 gets heard. I think there are some quarterbacks who, like, this would be their last college game, who, if they get the extra year, do they all of a sudden hit the portal?
Who you got your eye on for that one?
Shoot. I had this circled earlier. Where are we at? All right, come back to me on this because I had this circled. Now I can't find it.
Okay. Tom, any others stand out to you?
Honestly, I mean, they've all been mentioned, all the better games, I think. No, nothing else.
All right.
I'll be honest with you, like, now that I don't have to write the bowl rankings.
You didn't look at it?
On Sunday, I just had like the complete like 5-year-old pushback of now that I don't have to do it. I didn't pay any attention to it at all. I was just like, whatever. I'll find out I'll turn on the TV and see what's on when it's on, and I'll watch it.
We for those who weren't following the drama of trying to fill all of the bowl slots as teams one by one were saying no to getting in there. Does anybody know who actually saved the day? Do you know who saved the bowl season? App State.
Santa? Oh, okay.
App State.
Oh,
App State.
for a rematch.
Yeah, for a rematch against a conference opponent. And do you know what that is, Bud? Do you know what Georgia Southern App State is? A rivalry. It's an old rivalry. They've been playing for decades.
FCS.
Yeah, that's right.
Has it snowed in the mountains lately?
We've got snow in North Carolina right now. I think it's
I'm wondering if App State agreed to play in the game simply because nobody was able to go home because they were trapped in the mountains by the snow.
I don't know what App State's calendar is, but December 8th, they might still have another day or two of like exams before the semester wraps up. It was always around this time. I remember at North Carolina that we concluded things. All right. We have one final AP Top 25 at the end of the season, but let's look one last time. It's a Monday. Let's check out Poll Assassin. So obviously, as we told you, the shifting in the AP Top 25 was going to be minimal due to the fact that, most teams were not playing. However, it is historic because Indiana, 66 first place votes, unanimous number one team in the country, reaching that number one spot. Yet another marker for Curt Cignetti. Danny, can we show the shirt for everybody? YouTube.com/cover3. If you're watching, I mean, it's pretty simple. I win. Badass shirt there. Did you pick that up in Indianapolis while you were there?
I got some. I'm a slut for swag. Like I like stuff. So I end up spending a lot of money.
Clip it.
So I got
Put it on a shirt. I'm a slut for
Put that on
swag.
So I went to, so there was 2 different hotels. So we went and we got to see Cignetti before the game. At our hotel, they had some Ohio State gear. So I did the things that I saw. This shirt was sweet. I also had, I don't know why, the Bison tie-in with Indiana. I just wasn't that familiar with it. So I got a pretty sweet shirt with the Bison on the front of that one's pretty cool. But then probably my favorite thing, and I was going to wear whatever one today of who won the game. There's a Nike hoodie and it's black and it says "Just Saying." It's pretty sweet. I'll break that one out later in the week. It was pretty cool. So yeah, I did buy a bunch of swag when I was there. Should have got it for free.
Speaking of, what? Give us some color. Give us some takeaways. You know, like I just
the first. You know what?
And I realized I was like, we haven't even like heard from DK, and he was there for the best game of the day. So, what'd you think?
The biggest takeaway of it, for real, Cardell Jones. You walk around an Ohio State fan base with Cardell Jones, you might as well be with Elvis.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he's big
100%.
dude, so he gets recognized, and I mean, it is everybody's Cardell. So that was awesome because he, anything we needed.
And he entertains it too.
Yeah. He's great.
He's got like a great way. Like he seems to know, like, I'm going to take this photo. I'm going to say hey to these people. I got a couple.
And he still lives in Columbus. He's still involved with the NIL. Like he just does it. He's a great job. He's a great dude. He crushed it out there. The atmosphere was awesome. There was a lot of speculation. It was hard to tell. I thought it was going to be very, very heavy Indiana, and I would give it a slight edge. I don't know if it was like, I thought it would be 70-30. It was probably closer to 60-40. And it's hard to tell because the Reds, like, they kind of look the same.
Right.
So that was there. The thing that jumped out to me was before the game, we're on the field and you're walking around to kind of get a look at each team. And just watching Ohio State warm up, I was like, oh my gosh, I might switch my pick. Like, holy. And then you walk around the Indiana's guys and you're like, man, I saw Urban Meyer before the game. And I asked him, I'm like, hey, you know who he was going to pick for the game. So I just said, do you think Indiana can keep it close? And he goes, man, I was just walking around this field just like I was. And he goes, that team is so good. And he was talking about Ohio State. Mm-hmm. And so that was like before the game, that was what jumped out to me was how much better looking off the bus Ohio State was. But then when you watch it unfold and you see what happened, my keys to the game that we had to do for the pregame show was Indiana had to make Julian Saint uncomfortable. And boy, did they ever. I mean, that was pretty remarkable. The other thing, I did have a conversation with Tony Petitti, who came out of his way. I think he realizes he might have an ally because I am starting to grow to it. The expansion, and they have been the ones that have been proposing the 24-team playoff, much to Tom's chagrin. As I can tell, his blood is boiling. We might get him shouting again if we bring this up. But he was very appreciative of the support. He said, I think it could be a great idea. He said, I think it could really help fix a lot of our issues. So that was the other thing that stuck out.
When you were talking to the Supreme Chancellor to Petitti, is it 24 with automatic qualifiers? Is because that you want to talk about the selection committee, you do take it out of the committee's hands. That becomes like a big part of their argument moving forward.
Yes. And I actually had the conversation with Urban Meyer as well. The growing sentiment, Brett Lashley had said this on our radio show, we got to get rid of the committee. Like that is the growing sentiment is we got to get rid of the committee. How does every other sport have a true playoff? How can we figure it out? Petitti's come up with this model that suggests it, but I think even in his model, we didn't break it down round by round, but I think he's got a portion, maybe significantly less, minor portion of it is selected. And then I think the rankings, you have to rank them still.
Right.
Who gets the first round buys, I believe. So there would be some influence, but as much as we can get away from this being an invitational, I think is better. So that's where I've kind of grown. And it solves the conference championship games. They don't make sense. It doesn't work. What's at stake? That was a conversation we had a lot going in. Like who really wants it? It solves that problem because it does away with them. So what we could have been watching were first round playoff games this past weekend where you lose, you go home, you win, you advance, which is how a playoff is supposed to work.
Are we having any of this conversation like seriously like entertaining a 24 if the ACC just got their tiebreaker right?
Are we having a conversation about how the G5 shouldn't be automatically in if the ACC got their tiebreaker right?
Probably not.
This is a very reactionary business, though, Tom, and we react to what we just see.
I have never been reactionary. Please do not accuse me of that. I yell about
the power, the decision makers, the decision makers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. And I think that's just, like the Black Swan thing. The 1 in a million thing happens and we have to change everything because of that 1 in a million thing happening.
Yeah. As opposed to changing the thing that allowed for the Black Swan to happen. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, see,
16 feels like way too many. Have you guys seen this projected? 24 feels like way too many.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. I think 24 is too
I looked
many.
at the 24 bracket today.
They have two group of 5 teams, right?
Brother, I feel like 12 is way too many. Of course, I think 24 is too many.
But it does include the playoff.
I think we both liked 8 over 4, right?
If we were going to expand past 4, I was good with 6. Give 2 the top. At the time, there were 5 Power 5 conferences, so 6 made a lot of sense to me. But yeah, I guess 8 probably makes a whole hell of a lot more sense right now. But ideally, again, then we're talking about the AP poll in this segment. Ideally, I would put in, and I know it would never happen, every conference champion gets in, and then you just have that's 9 right now, and then you would add however many at-larges after that.
So Pac-12 is going to be back next year as a recognized FBS conference. So it would be 10.
So it would be 10 and 6 at-larges.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that.
At least then you have to play your way in. It's not just a committee choosing you.
I definitely don't like the committee, but I think a lot of it is just how it's presented week to week. If you look at the projected 24, that's a lot of games that I'm like, okay.
No teams fell out of the top 25. Virginia moved
All
down.
right.
Virginia moved down 4 spots. North Texas moved down 3 spots. A little bit of shuffling elsewhere. Tulane made a big jump up after their impressive win against North Texas, all the way up to number 17 as the Green Wave then prepare. JMU did not move. So Duke's hanging tight at number 19. Tulane's move, giving them a little bit of an edge there, similar to what we saw in the CFP. Well, coming up on the other side, more of our reaction to championship weekend and more next.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ gives you a snapshot of all the sports that matter to you. When you need your sports in a snap, find it on CBS Sports HQ. Streaming free anywhere you are.
Our friend Garrett in the tailgate said the AP poll right now is like me setting my 4-9 fantasy football team's roster.
Hey, there's still playoff spots at stake. You keep setting your lineups. Keep the competition fair.
I will say this again, and then I will stop saying it until we do our final poll assassin of the season. The AP Top 25 does preserve our final snapshot of the year.
Mm-hmm.
College football playoff rankings don't come back for a final ranking. So when we are talking about the end of season, the way that this will be remembered for eons to come, it's been around since 1936. So I give my respects to the AP Top 25, especially when they got rid of that crooked Ralph Russo. So, just a much, much cleaner operation at this point. One last chance to go under the hood. Things that we learned. We call it upon further review. There were terrible calls. Do we want to go ahead and jump in?
After further review.
After further review.
After further review.
Tom, did you get your Notre Dame? You mentioned in the doc the Notre Dame join a conference conversation. We didn't really get a chance to talk about that in the opt out. Is that connected, or do you want to?
It's connected to the playoff stuff. Yeah. There's I think there's a Pavlovian response among college football fans and media now that anytime anything happens to Notre Dame and they become a topic of conversation, you scream join a conference.
Right.
And this week, the join a conference retort is to, because they missed the college football playoff and they got left out. And I don't see how the two are combined, because if you look at their schedule, you want to bring up their strength of schedule. It's the same as Miami's pretty much in every single one you look at. Sager and FPI, they're right next to each other. So they played the same difficulty schedule. And if you look at this very same playoff, the team that nobody's mentioned about getting screwed, BYU, used to be an independent. It joined a conference. Didn't do a damn thing to help it yesterday, so I don't see how being in a conference helped BYU. A few years ago, Florida State in a conference, pretty big one, went undefeated, won it, got left out of the playoff. Didn't really seem to help them being in a conference. I don't understand why we think Notre Dame joining a conference changes anything. Maybe it helps keep them getting preferential treatment from if they're in the top 12 now, they automatically get in, but it has absolutely nothing to do with this situation.
I agree. Maybe more teams should be independent.
That's honestly, yeah. I mean, if you think about what's kind of happening to this sport where conferences have just been bending their will to serve the college football playoff, maybe more teams should be sitting there looking around like, do we really need to be in this conference?
Maybe. Danny, any other just overall do you think that the Alabama getting left and not getting knocked down at all is a fair criticism of the final rankings?
No, I think they should have been docked.
Okay.
I think they should have been lowered. I mean, but again, I think they should have been all the way out. Well, let's look at it from this way, because when you look at all right, moving forward, they are in. Do I think they're a national championship contender? I say no. And that's where I wanted teams that to Bud's point, Mackenzie was on set with us the other day, and she said 75% of their models that they run through had Notre Dame going all the way to the championship game. They had a pretty good chance to make it there. And I don't think Alabama is a team that I look at as a national championship contender.
Mm-hmm. The selection committee, and again, we've only got small sample size relatively, but conference championship game losers almost across the board have been dropped in the rankings.
Right.
I mean, at least a spot.
Right.
And
sometimes even if it's the SEC or Big Ten, they've dropped them.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what it was. I was like, I didn't really, I mean, we went live at 12 o'clock. We had to vamp for 28 minutes before they even started giving us the bracket for us to be able to react to. A lot of it was happening fast, but one thing that I did not realize and did not get a chance to put together until after the show, again, something that we try to do on a Pun Further review, is that the preferential treatment of the Alabama Crimson Tide goes beyond getting bumped up for struggling with the 5-7 Auburn team. It continued with not getting docked after losing the SEC championship game, when even tighter margins, they got dog walked in that SEC championship game. No drop whatsoever. I thought that was, if we're going to offer criticism there, the selection committee, even as they've changed over throughout the years, has pretty routinely at least a spot or two knocked teams down when they lose in conference championship games. And so for Alabama, that was a little bit of a benefit. Anything else from the weekend? I mean, this is sort of it doesn't have to be tied to the games. It can be tied to the games, playoff related. Otherwise,
I got to tell you, the way Indiana is just so sound against the run. We talked about this right after with those linebackers, but those guys just see it, man. They are just in the right gap all the time. You just don't get freebie runs against these guys. It's coaching. It's got, yeah. It's coaching. It's instincts. I mean, they're good up front, but those backers just don't blow it, man. They're just in the right gap. How many times it looked hey, Ohio State might have something here. It's a good run look. Ohio State runs the ball because they think they got a good run look. And Indiana kind of baits them into it, and they just get into the right spot, man. I went back and watched this morning. I was like, it's not like Ohio State is blowing blocks. Indiana just gets there. It's pretty impressive.
They're not fun to play against.
No.
And that's how you make up the gap, or the get off the bus gap.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Just out. And Ohio State has good coaches too, right? And it's just Indiana, they do all of that small stuff at an extremely high level.
We talk about what if Iowa ever got a quarterback, right? This is kind of similar. It's hey, you got a first round quarterback
and wide receivers.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Those backers are good, dude.
What's kind of strange to me, and it's actually not even strange, but if you think about the way that like the coaching carousel works, and we're talking about Indiana being very well coached here. Like when it comes to the carousel, you look at all the coordinators at all the top programs who are always getting mentioned for these jobs. Like I don't even know that like the more casual college football fans, ones that aren't watching it all the time, even know who Indiana's coordinators are. You certainly never hear their names coming up as candidates for these jobs. And yet they're the most well-coached team in the country. And they're able to beat Ohio State with players that aren't as good as Ohio State or as big as Ohio State's. But you don't hear Mike Shanahan's name. You don't hear Bryant Haynes' name.
Bryant Haynes will start popping up. I think that we'll start. It's just I think Haynes has been with them since IUPUI.
Yeah, they've been
And they might
for
have been
a very long
he
time.
might have taken another job somewhere else. But I do know that Bryant Haynes started his coaching career back with just started with Kurt Cignetti back at D2. So that relationship might be one reason it doesn't get floated, because he's just not interested in seeking those opportunities at this point.
I was making sure because I was wondering because the Broyles Award is coming up and I hadn't seen Haynes. Haynes is on there, but like it kind of goes to your point. They probably both should be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like and you don't hear people reference them with the regard that they do some of the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
I am also, upon further review, I am glad to see that after their first loss in a very long time, Ohio State fans are back on the who's calling the plays. Because if you're an Ohio State fan, and I understand where they come from, like when you're that talented, clearly the only reason you could lose a game is because the coach is making the wrong calls.
Speaking of coordinators leaving, Danny, I thought that I mean I know Dan's watching the show, so I'll get to maybe get to offer this to him as well. But Dan Lanning looked surprised that you picked his team to win the national championship. His eyebrows jumped like, really? Us? Are you sure about that, Danny? No, I understand that Dan Lanning has the utmost confidence. He had a great answer he's like, hey, that's why you come to Oregon. You come to Oregon so you can get opportunities elsewhere. He's very excited for Will Stein at Kentucky, for Tosh Lupoy at Cal, and you were able to reference to him the fact that he himself took the Oregon job before helping Georgia win the national championship in the 2021 season. But he did look surprised that you
He did. I definitely noticed that. I think he probably was the first one they had heard. It was early there. But then even afterwards, it is a different calendar than it was that goes further into the offseason. The new portal window is open January 2nd. Like there are going to be some unique challenges that I think half the field has to deal with. Mm-hmm. Now he's unique because both of his coordinators are going to be double-minded or distracted, whatever term you want to use. But that is going to be an issue that I think does impact somebody.
Yeah. I don't think anyone outside of the top 5 can win a national championship in this bracket. And one of those top 5 teams doesn't really have an elite top level game-changing quarterback in offense. One of those top 5 teams has both coordinators going to take other jobs. So when all these expert brackets start getting rolled out and they've all got some different combination of Ohio State, Indiana, and Georgia, I'm not really surprised, and I'm not going to push back a ton because unlike last year, which had the number 7 seed and the number 8 seed playing for the national championship because of the unbalanced bracket and the fast pass that were given to the number 3 and the number 4 seeds, I think this year we're going to see that just like most years in college football, there's tiers to this thing, and I would be surprised if we see – I mean, Oregon's the only team I could see going from the first round to hoisting the national championship trophy. And so it'll look a little boring when all the expert brackets get posted on CBSSports.com later today, but I'm not sure I push back against it too much.
I think there's more who could win.
Okay.
I think the gap between these teams is smaller. Like it's.
But they're so flawed. Like even the programs, yes, but it's like Oklahoma, you're going to win 4 games against the rest of this field. Alabama, the way that Alabama's offense has looked. Ole Miss doesn't have a head coach. Like these teams that should have the talent to be able to do it, the circumstances around them make it seem unlikely, at least to me.
But they're not as talented as they were when we were seeing some of these programs dominate.
Sure.
You know, like so, and that's where I think Ohio State, Indiana, like the Big Ten teams do have that advantage. They've been able to hoard a little bit more talent because they haven't had to compete against many teams in the Big Ten yet. Yeah. I think you're going to start to see that change. Michigan State made a big investment. You're going to start seeing that, but I think they just have been able to retain and keep more talent across the board.
Ole Miss does have a head coach. It's Pete Golding. I understand, but I'm just
he ain't into that pickleball crap.
No, he ain't going to hot yoga or none of that BS.
I like football.
Looking at implied odds, there are 5 teams that have a 10% chance or better of winning the whole thing.
Are they the top 5 seeds?
Ohio State, Indiana, Georgia, Oregon, and Texas Tech. And then after that, Texas Tech, if you're looking at FanDuel, is 9-1, so 10%. Texas A&M is 17-1.
That's the
odds makers feel like there's a pretty clear drop off between those 5 and the rest.
And I could see
I will put Texas Tech in that group though.
I wouldn't pick them to win it, but I think if you look at their defense, they're more capable than a lot of other teams because of that defense. Now, do they have the offense to get through 3 of these games? That's where I get skeptical.
That's such a weird matchup too. Like we're assuming Oregon takes care of business against James Madison. Can we operate under that? Like Oregon will be playing against Texas Tech.
No, Chip. James Madison has a real shot, according to Twitter.
Oregon and Texas Tech.
Alabama doesn't have a real shot, Bud, but you're not really upset they're in.
Fair.
I am.
Oregon against Texas Tech in the Orange Bowl on New Year's Day at noon is a weird-ass game. Anything could happen there. I have no clue. So that of course, plays into Indiana. As long as Indiana is able to win its quarterfinal game, lots of pieces there. Anything else go ahead.
Did Appalachian State have a chance to beat Michigan? Did Boise State have a chance to beat Oklahoma?
I think what did Marcelo had it. He nailed to 2,800 miles. I mean, just all the pieces of it, you know, 2,800 miles out to Autzen Stadium.
The way I look at it, there's 2 options here. Oregon blows out James Madison and we just move on real quickly. Or James Madison pulls off one of the greatest upsets in college football history and we remember it forever. Why is this such a horrible situation to be in?
There's a third option. Oregon continues to sit its starters so that like until they're 100% healthy and they win by 10.
There's no chance.
Right. Like, I mean, I don't know. I just don't get why it's such an inconvenience that for 3.5 hours on a Saturday, you might have to watch a game that's not close.
I think it's because we have to hype it for a month and the leadoff.
We don't have to hype it. We could be honest about our feelings the entire time. We could say, hey, I don't think JMU has a chance to win.
This game is in 11 days too, Bud. I mean, we don't actually have to sit in this for a long time.
You're right.
So we will narrow the field very, very quickly. And I think that is one thing that I'm appreciative of with this college football playoff calendar. We don't sit on our hands for a month. We're going to do Army Navy, and then we're going to jump into it. So I appreciate that. All right. Anything else before we get out of here? We're going to be on CBS Sports Network. Hey, back at noon Eastern time on Tuesday. So watch it. You can follow it if you can't watch live at noon Eastern time on CBS Sports Network. Circle back. We'll have it for you at youtube.com/cover3 on demand, as well as wherever you get your podcasts. And you can follow him on Twitter at Tom Fornelli. You can follow him at Bud Elliott 3. You can follow him at Danny Kanell. Follow me at Chip_Patterson. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Wasn't a single 1-score game in the first round of last year's